Hey guys, welcome back. It's me, Devaraj. Today I wanted to continue along in this kind of short series about, well, really just comparing bioenergetics to other therapies that are around. And, I can't do it in a bit of a light-hearted way and try and give some information. I'm not really down on like psychotherapy, or today we're going to talk about NLP or the other therapies. I'm very pragmatic with this stuff. I think out in the world, there's a lot of people that need a lot of healing and sorting out, and support to step up and be the best they can, and anything that works and gives them a result is okay by me at the end of the day. Having said that, let's talk a little bit about why I consider bioenergetics to be a considerable improvement on NLP. And if you're familiar, or maybe if you're not familiar with NLP, NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And it was a therapy, kind of an exciting and interesting therapy that came out of the late 80s by a guy, Richard Bandler was his name, I think. And maybe he had a partner that did it as well, that helped him develop it as well. And essentially what it does, it was kind of revolutionary at the time, certainly in the 90s. It was around a lot, and a lot of people I knew in the late 90s who were getting involved in stepping up and moving out into the world really got into NLP for a while. And essentially what it does is you look at your thought patterns and you start to fiddle with them, you start to change with them, because we have a lot of negative, self-defeating, can't really do it, putting ourselves down thought patterns, and you have to start to change that. So you have to start to really investigate how you are seeing the world, how you, in fact, specifically, how you are seeing yourself in the world, and how do you move out from yourself towards people, towards jobs, towards what you want to get, whether it's a partner, friendships, or whether it's, a job, a role, whether you're at the top of a company or somewhere in between. And you have to start to examine your beliefs and attitudes and start to change them, basically substituting negative self-limiting beliefs for positive. And it can create revolutionary change. For a lot of time in the 90s and the early 2000s, NLP was really, really rocking. I mean, it was rocking, Probably its leading proponent and the number one motivational guru of all time, Anthony Robbins, or Tony Robbins, was a huge, huge fan of NLP and still teaches it regularly. But as the kind of 2000s wore on and we got now into the 2010s, whatever you call them, people started to notice certain issues with NLP. And probably the most significant of those issues is that, yes, you start to change some of your thought patterns, but there are a couple of issues that come up with that. One, your body may not be on board. If you've been following this series on bioenergetics, you know that a lot of the problems that we have at a mental level actually become because the brain has been repressing feelings back into the body. And those feelings at some level demand to be expressed. And so if you do NLP a lot and perhaps become very good at NLP, there's a danger that you cut yourself off at the neck. Your body's kind of on one track, wanting to kind of, get into the gunge and get rid of the old crap and stuff like that. And your mind is like on this super positive track with, no, I'm just going up, 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 super positive. And people found they kept on getting dragged down. You'd go to a big workshop or a seminar or something like that, and the energy's pumping, and we can do it, we can do it, we can do it. And a week down the line, 2 weeks down the line, you're back at square one. And it keeps on happening, and people beating themselves up and God knows what. And that's one of the drawbacks of NLP. It doesn't necessarily bring your body on board. Maybe for one person in 1,000 or one person in 500, a bit of NLP, and somewhere their body's ready to change. The repression comes out and goes, and they can just run through life with NLP. And there will be guys, Tony Robbins probably was a guy like that. And some other motivational gurus that rely on NLP a lot could probably be in that class. They're the 1 in 1,000 who just need NLP. They don't need to investigate the past. They don't need to clear the holding patterns. They don't need to get rid of the dead zones in their muscle system. Somewhere their whole energy just wakes up and they get out into the world and do it. This is why a lot of motivational gurus rely on this, the good ones. But the trouble is, it doesn't seem to work for the average person so well. So where are we talking about? Issues with NLP. Issues with NLP, one of them, like I said, is your body is not necessarily on board for most people. And that can create a splitting, a cutting off where you're dragged back down. Or the other negative tendency, which can be more extreme, is that because the body needs to express, and there's an organ of the brain, or more accurately, the body needs to release the past. And to be even more accurate still, there's an organ of the brain in the midbrain, the amygdala, whose job it is basically is to get the charge out of your muscle system. You know, the charge comes from repression. Repression comes from trauma and conditioning. We've looked at these ideas before, and it results in a charge in your muscle system. And the amygdala's job is to get that charge out. So it keeps trying to pull you into the negative. And if you're really cutting off and refusing to go there, it can be that the body starts to work against you. You start to get sick. You may even get a situation where literally your body starts to unwrap negative genes and write them into the RNA to run kill programs in your body. Cancer is a classic example. When we get round to, I mean, it's not fully proven yet by any means, you know, but when we get round to really understanding why the cancer program runs in their body and others it doesn't, one thing you're going to find out is that at a certain level, the body has had enough of supporting certain people's personalities. It's not getting its needs met. The body is a team. So again, this is a problem with NLP. It's a potential problem that you could potentially make yourself ill. So where do we go from here? Because I don't want to make it some big fucking horror story or something like that. You know, NLP can be awesome and great. And if you've had a lot of negativity in your life and you've used, you know, low self-esteem, which is essentially a defense. Basically, if you used low self-esteem for years, reprogramming and reframing your thinking can be a really awesome idea to say yes instead of no, to say I can do it instead of holding back and I don't know. So NLP can be awesome, you know, but you need to bring your body on board as well. So NLP mixed up with bioenergetics can be a very powerful combination, but used on its own, if you find it's not really working for you long term, then you need to get involved with something like bioenergetics, which starts to take the holding and the charge out of your body. Because then, once that charge is gone, the amygdala has no reason to keep dragging you back into the negativity, and you can just move upwards, move forwards. Nothing is blocking you anymore. And what you realize from your old conditioned mindset was all these blocks that you placed on the outside were really on the inside. The blocks are really on the inside, but it's much more comforting and much easier to pretend they're on the outside and to get stuck in that way of relating to the world around us. Okay, guys, that's my little chat about NLP, and I hope it's been useful for you. Remember, I'm not down on NLP. I'm just pointing out some of the issues and how, using bioenergetics as well, we can really improve NLP and create something truly radical and revolutionary for people. I will speak to you later.